This is the Spokane Soccer Show, proudly presented by and on location at Flat Stick Pub. I am your host, Benji Wade, joining me to serve up only the best vibes about all things soccer in the fine city of Spokane. Look at this handsome devil. It's Mount Spokane girls, Shadle Park boys, and Spokane Impact head coach Mike Pellicio. Welcome back to the show for the third time, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Benji.
So good to see you, dude.
Good to see you.
I gave you a hard time, even though you weren't on the podcast to defend yourself last time when I brought this up, but your wife, Megan, and your kids must really love you, or they just must really love soccer. Which is it, or is it both?
They love soccer.
How do they put up with you doing all this crap? How do you fit it all into your schedule?
To quote a great philosopher, I'm a huge loser. I believe those are your words last time that you talked about this. But yeah, I don't have hobbies, and soccer is a hobby. So whether it's watching my kids play soccer games, whether it's coaching myself, or attending games at One Spokane Stadium, it is what our family does. And the kids love it. The kids have been at almost every Spokane Impact session. Megan coaches at Mount Spokane with me and at Impact. So in the club that the kids are involved in, she works there and I work there. So it kind of works for everyone.
So you're a true sicko, is what you're trying to say.
Sicko.
I said loser also. I don't claim to be eloquent, but I do feel like I've got I'm a shithouse philosopher.
Yeah.
And I think you are both a sicko and a little bit of a loser when it comes to soccer, like myself. Maybe I identify with you because the truth is, you are probably one of the only people in Spokane when I go to games and you're there, we both do the same thing. We watch the effing games, right?
And we also dodge people we don't want to sit with.
And we dodge people we sit with that we know aren't interested in the game either. Mm-hmm. So I love so many of my friends and family in this community. But I've brought this up many times. I am not a great conversationalist when I'm at games. Like, hey, how's the family? What family? Like, did you see what just happened?
Yeah, no, you're right. We have that in common big time.
Speaking of which, on today's show, we're going to catch up on professional soccer in Spokane, mostly Velocity FC. We'll do a quick update on Zephyr FC because they're about to start their second season. And I also want to talk to you about Spokane Impact. So let's start there. I brought this up on the podcast before.
Cool.
A lot of our listeners probably know, but we're just going to give them a little bit of a refresher in case they don't know, or in case you don't know anything about it, you're going to find out for the first time. So, Velocity FC midfielder and current goal-scoring talisman, Nil Vinyals, and his former teammate, a Richmond teammate when he was in Richmond, Jaegermeister, they started a nonprofit called Project Inspire, which is the goal of this nonprofit, according to their website, is to establish a year-long soccer competition tailored specifically for athletes with intellectual and developmental impairment. They've now done that. Spokane's going to have a team. You are the first head coach.
Yes, I am.
Tell me all about this.
Okay.
We will have Nil on the podcast at some point, but
he would be so great.
You are doing double duty today to talk about that because you've been named the first head coach of Spokane Impact.
Sure. These guys were playing for Richmond Kickers.
Yep.
And the Richmond Kickers were hosting some opportunities for people with developmental and intellectual disabilities to come out and play soccer. And one of the kids said, or maybe it might have been an adult, when can I come play on the Kickers with you guys? And that melted Nil's heart, Joao's heart, and they decided to try to make this happen. And remarkably, it's happened.
And something like this did not exist.
It's the first year-long offering for people with IDD, where there's not also people like you and me playing as well.
Sure.
They call them buddies in unified soccer.
Or like Side by Side Spokane.
Correct.
Our friend Ryan Shelley.
Yep.
And those folks. Yep.
Ryan's on our staff too.
Yeah.
So this, with every single player on the field having an intellectual or developmental disability, we're in brand new territory in the United States.
That's so awesome. Tell me about your background because you have worked as a teacher with kids with IDD. So tell me how that ended up, I assume, making a connection to this opportunity.
Sure. So I kind of found my way into working in special ed classes because PE roles are so hard to find, physical education. That was my endorsement. It still is one of my endorsements. But when you're subbing, you end up in whatever class you are willing to take, and I take anything. So I was at Peppersack Middle School, and it's not the first time I've been in a special ed classroom. But I was there for 2 days, so on day one, I asked the kids what color they liked.
Sure.
And then on day two, I brought them a balloon of that color. And then I didn't know this, but the teacher wasn't returning, so they asked me to stay for 6 weeks. That turned into the rest of the year. And then after that, I decided I would get my endorsement in special education. So last year I was at Shadle.
Was there a moment about that opportunity that just kind of like made you feel like there's a spark of inspiration? There's something that makes me feel like this is something I should do?
Yeah. I think if you put me in front of anyone coaching them or teaching them, I think I would just be like, oh, this is so great. So I do think that it was just being there, establishing those relationships was wonderful. Yep. But I also enjoy so many things about special education because I like progress, even if it's slow. I like hard things. So like if it's difficult to get a kid to hold a pencil a certain way, I consider that to be a fun challenge. And you know, everyone complains. Is it Gen Z? Is that the age that are coming through now?
I think they're called Alpha.
Whatever they're called. Everyone hates them.
Yeah.
I would much rather instruct students in special education who don't even have phones than a kid that's on their phone the whole day and having that conversation. Can you please put your phones away?
Yeah.
So I think it was just a confluence of factors that made me be like, this is great. I love it. I'm going to stay.
Okay. Tell me about Inspire Soccer League is the name of the league. Tell me about the teams that are in it and how many are there?
So there's only 4 of us.
Okay.
I believe we were the 4th to join, which is kind of like the minimum for a viable league. There's one Knoxville has a team. Colorado Switchbacks have a team. And then there's one in Houston called United Genuine.
Yep.
So we are the 4th there. There's 4 different weekends. One happening shortly on the 23rd and 24th of August.
Okay.
The next one is the 13th and 14th of September. We host that. And then the next 2 after that follow each month. So in those 4 weekends, we will all play our round robin. So after that, go ahead.
You said September 13th, 14th?
Here in Spokane.
In Spokane.
Correct.
Where will they be playing?
We will be at the Hub.
Okay.
So in the future, we'll be at One Spokane Stadium, but this year we'll be at the Hub.
Okay.
So
I got to go out there.
Everyone should be there.
We have to make that an official Spokane Soccer Show
Please
episode.
come to the game. We want everyone
Let's go.
there. We want to have a lot of
Okay.
people there. We want to have drums, cheering, all that.
September 13th, 14th. Fan-freaking-tastic. Okay, Mike Pellicio, let's take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk all about the recent Velocity FC results.
Lovely.
The Spokane Soccer Show, Mike Pellicio, is sponsored by the Spokane City Credit Union, and I bet you knew that. In case you missed it, throughout 2025, I'm going to be updating my listeners about Spokane City Credit Union's commitment to the Greater Spokane Parks Challenge. But for the month of August, there's a new challenge. It's time to make a splash. You better make a splash, Mike. Upload a photo enjoying a pool or a splash pad at a Spokane area park on or before August 31st for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. I know you need a $100 Amazon gift card for all your hobbies.
Badly.
There's some things that soccer sickos can get on there. Don't forget about the bonus challenge for August. Let's celebrate the dog days of summer. Upload a photo of your pet at a Spokane area park on or before August 31st, once again, for a chance to win a $50 Twigs Bistro gift card. The fries and the Gorgonzola fondue, bro.
Every time I go there, I get that.
Every time, same. To learn more and to register for the challenge, go to sccu.net/parks-challenge. All right, Mike Pellicio, we're back. Since the last podcast, back-to-back wins at one stadium, top of the table for our beloved Velocity FC, where we belong. Okay, we did officially, before we get to our recent results in League One, we did officially crash out of the Jaegermeister Cup. Something about that competition. We're 0-2. It hasn't gone our way. Didn't go our way last year, and we're not doing so great this year. It started off with promise. You went to the Oakland Roots game, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember that? Weren't
yeah.
you and I and Jesse all together for that game?
I believe we were.
Kicked their ass, dude.
But like Jaegermeister kind of sucks.
But
you ever tried it? So
it's
I'm
disgusting.
fine with this.
You know what's really funny? It's something I have entirely missed out on my whole life, which is funny that I'm drinking a root beer right now because they have a similar licorice kind of a vibe, whatever. Mm-hmm. Totally repulsed by it.
Have you ever had it?
Yeah, I have. I think I've
good.
had like literally a sip and just gone, what? I don't get it.
Everyone reacts like that. To
Bombs?
Jaegermeister.
What are we doing? Hey, I have no fear that Jaegermeister was ever going to come after me to sponsor the Spokane Soccer Show, so we have nothing to lose. Well, after that convincing 2-1 win against the Oakland Roots, we went on to lose a game against Monterey Bay FC, even though we were, I think, the far better team in that whole game, but we conceded in the 5th minute. It was a little bit of a sunshine. I think Carlos was unsighted. It was a weird bouncing ball. It was bad. But we lost that game, and then we got our asses handed to us in 98-degree temperatures against Las Vegas. Lost that game. So by the time we played Sacramento Republic, you and I sat together and watched that game. We were out of the competition, but we played really well in that game.
They were good.
And they were good.
That was a good team.
After the game, that was the first thing that Lee and I talked about. It was like, that team was really good. And he was not, even though I think it would have been a fair result for us to get a draw, we had some good chances in that game. Lee did not seem particularly upset by the performance. He was just like, we competed, and that was a really good team.
Yeah, I remember they scored a goal. The assist came from a guy that I was 5 seconds away from heckling for having shorts up to his high thighs. And I'm glad I didn't heckle him. And then I remember the whole first half was very difficult for us. And then our team showed some really good grit to kind of claw our way back in the second half, got some chances.
We can't move on from this heckling thing. You didn't heckle him vocally to where he could possibly hear you on the pitch, but your wife and I caught an earful about your dunking on his legs. It was clear that there was some, I think you were projecting a little bit because this man had glorious quads.
They're so much bigger than mine.
Jack Gurr, 29-year-old English player. And then what does he do after you finish making fun of him? He places a cross on a platter on a dime, on the thinnest of dimes, back post to a 5'6" winger whose name is, I don't want to hear any snickering out of you, Michel Benitez. Header top bins, 5'6" player, back post. Incredible finish. Carlos flat-footed. I was like, Mike Pellicio, it's your fault. You talked way too much shit about Jack Gurr.
I had my hands cupped ready to make fun of him too, right as it happened.
Literally right as he was 1v1. And look, these players of that kind of pedigree, he grew up in England. He went to a couple of those English academies, and you and I looked him up afterwards like, oh yeah, that's a class player. Andre almost scored an absolute worldie, and I forgot about that. 25 yards out, and he struck the post.
Fernandez. Lewis! Oh, off the post! Comes out to Hill.
And he struck it hard.
He
it was one of those,
does.
it comes right back into the pitch. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go out over touch. It's like ping, anyway. Andre, I think, has struck the post. He did this weekend, didn't he? Against AV Alta.
Just about every time I see him play.
I know. He hasn't had an Andre goal, man.
Yeah.
I feel sad because a couple times he's hit the post and it's like right there. I am almost positive he hit the post against AV Alta. Anyways, or it was against, it might have been against Omaha.
Maybe.
I don't remember. I don't have that receipt. Anyway, can you talk a little bit before we move on to this game? Because you touched on their competence. I think that Sacramento Republic showed us the gulf in quality between the championship and League One, because I think we are clearly one of the best teams in League One. Admittedly, Sacramento Republic, for anybody listening to this podcast who watched that game and was like, oh, kind of disappointed. No, they're one of the best teams in the championship, a tier above us. And we played them very, very competitively. So do you think that's kind of what stuck out to you, is like, oh, this team just looks a little bit different?
Yeah, they just appeared to have a bit more quality on the ball than we're used to seeing. Especially, I think they had 2 10s, so that those two guys that were playing in those little pockets were just so...
I brought that up to Lee.
Yeah.
And because you brought it up when we were watching, and it was a good shout that they would play with that back three that just let those two midfielders that were kind of the pivots, but they would just take turns letting the other one run all the way up the pitch, and we couldn't quite punish them for that aggression.
Yeah, I feel like that was a team that really knew how they wanted to play. They were very comfortable on the ball, and then they did some fun things with their back three or back five, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Where center backs would go on these excursions to press the ball with comfort that the rest of their team knew they were doing it and was okay with it. So tactically, yeah, that was really interesting to me. I thought it was awesome.
That's it for the Sacramento Republic game. We're out of that competition, but we have back-to-back wins. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about League One, where things are going so much better after that nightmare midweek in July. Velocity FC 2, Union Omaha 1. I'm going to give a tiny bit of a backstory about this one because I'm super disappointed and sad. I first got in touch with and have texted, yes, believe it or not, texted Ozzy Alonso when he was first announced as part of the ownership group. I've really, really, really wanted to have an interview with Ozzy in Spokane. We had a couple moments where I thought he was going to be here at a certain time, and I don't want to do it I don't want to have him on a remote video call. I really wanted to just meet him down at one stadium and chat with him there. It's going to be this huge thing that I was so amped to do. My sister bought for my 2 daughters tickets to the Tate McRae concert in Vancouver for Christmas. I was not paying attention to the schedule. I was in conversation with Ryan Harnato in the middle of the week, being like, yes, I'll be at one stadium at noon on Saturday to interview Ozzy. And then my wife's like, so yeah, cool. I think we'll take off like early on Friday. And I was like, oh.
Heartbreaking.
Were you there?
At that game, no, I wasn't.
Oh yeah, you were gone too.
Yeah, I was at the EPL WAF final,
Oh, that's
which
right.
is where the Shadow men's first team used to play. I thought I would go to the final.
You got to see our guy Mikey Rojas play.
Saw Mikey play.
Let's
It
go,
was nice to
Mikey.
see him.
Hey, Mikey, wherever you're at, shout out. I saw that, and I was so stoked to see that you were in that final.
So I went there. I kind of wanted to be at the Omaha game, but occasionally you have to make choices that you are not happy with. But I was okay with my choice.
Ozzy, you better come back. Never mind, let me phrase that differently. Please come back, Ozzy. Let's talk about the game. Do you remember what happened in the game?
We went up 2-0.
I was watching it on my computer in Vancouver. Part-time computer, part-time phone. Tell me what you remember from the goal from nil in the 6th minute of the game, which immediately made me feel so much less stressed. I'm like, we cannot put in a bad showing in front of Ozzy. And it felt like 5 super long minutes until we scored our first goal. I was already getting really stressed. Please, let's get a really good result, especially given what had happened in that mid-July stuff. So
Yeah, and in the League One final the year prior.
Exactly.
I was really happy to see the FOTMob notification on my phone and see that it was nil that scored, no less. But yeah, brilliant free kick. It was so close, and then I saw David kind of get in the way of the wall, and then so he's probably covering that post, and then he got out of the way at the last moment as Nil bent it to that far post fairly low, and I thought that was pretty awesome. I think that was certainly deliberate by David.
Yep.
So that was great.
Gamesmanship.
Yep. And then I saw Nil get an assist on that corner with Anwar kind of barreling into the back of the net, and their goalkeeper complaining, "He's so big and strong, I can't save shots like that." So that was the start of the game. And then I saw us concede that penalty with Derek on the back post.
Let's come back to the penalty.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is going to preview a later part of our conversation, there were some outrageous saves from Carlos Marancio in this game, especially minute 23. Go check that one. It's, Carlos was giving up half of his goal or more, and a player from Omaha has basically the whole net to choose from and gets a pretty good shot off, but Carlos Marancio, just the tip of his paw to save us from conceding.
To his top right?
Yes, yep,
yeah,
exactly.
That was brilliant.
It was so brilliant. One thing I did want to point out before we talk about even in that second goal, because I have the same observation you do. I feel like we're seeing more and more glimpses of these games that these defenders, especially Carlos and David Garcia, they have a lot of chemistry. Have you noticed something like that? I know this is intangible X factor stuff, but the way that they communicate with each other, the way that I'm seeing them pick each other up off the pitch, those things matter. I notice them. And it feels like there's a really good cosmic link between those two.
Yeah, I think I've noticed it. They're both kind of extroverted when they get when David gets a block or Carlos makes a stupid save, which he makes all the time. So I think they kind of feed off each other a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that is a nice little feature of our backline this year.
He also, I will admit this, I don't think Carlos would mind if I told my listeners this. When David, I think, won player of the match in a game, or I shouted him out or something happened, Carlos immediately DM'd me and said, "That is my effing guy." Yeah, I think your note about the second goal is exactly the one I had. It's like a perfect center forward goal. Anwar really does he is a menace. He's a genuinely terrifying dude. He's like one of those players where if I'm a center half, I just don't want to deal with him.
I would hate to play against him.
Hate to play.
Yeah.
And you're right, that goal, and it was a funny goal because he just bullied his defender out of the way, just treated them like, a gnat.
Yeah.
And then he punches the ball with the meaty part of his head with so much force down into the pitch, which is what you want, that I was actually worried it was going to bounce over the post.
Yeah. I had to rewatch it and be like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
Was that his thigh? Was that his head? Did he shove the defender into it?
So
But
funny.
I guess it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We have to talk about the penalty.
Okay.
You go first.
That guy was taller than Derek, and the ball was in the air, so Derek had to try to fight to keep it out, and he did. And then Derek looked pretty amazed that the referee called a penalty. Do you want me to keep talking?
Yes, what did you see? Because
Probably a penalty.
Oh, did you think it was?
Yeah, probably. I watched it quite a few times.
But what was the infraction? Like, what did Derek do?
I think Derek had like his hands up and above his shoulders, trying to like fight for position, which is honestly not called very often. But I think Derek was just having to do everything he could, because if that guy gets to the ball first, it goes in. Okay?
He was backing into Derek as much as Derek was trying to like jockey. I felt like it, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty, but it was one of those where Pino was like, I think I can get a penalty called here.
Interesting.
The ball was not, it's not like he had some like clear goal scoring chance that was denied to him.
I mean, I thought it was going in the goal if he got to it, right?
No? Okay.
I thought that's what the case
dude, I
was.
love that we see this differently.
I mean, I'd kill that guy too if I were Derek, but, you know.
Okay, I'm actually going to reach out to Derek and see what he says.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
I thought it was Charmin soft. Joe Gallardo steps up, buries the penalty, but no, you know what? Nobody cares.
No one cared.
Because we won.
Yeah.
XG on that game. You want to take any guesses?
Yeah. I didn't watch 60 minutes of it.
Oh, yeah. You're like,
We had 3 goals expected. They had 0.5. No, the 0.7.
Weirdly enough, it was pretty high.
Yeah.
2.5, 2.57 to 2.06.
Okay, so they had more chances than I.
No, advantage, velocity, but I was kind of surprised. That's it for that game. You want to talk about the AV Alta game?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, happened this weekend. Let's start here. It was a question you asked me after the game, and I knew you were going to come on the podcast. I was like, let's save it. First time this year that Luis Gil and Nil Vinyals have started together. Talk about how Lee used them. First, to start there.
Yeah, so I did text you after the game because I didn't know who to talk to about it, and I
See,
knew
us sickos, we need a support group.
Yeah, there's only a few people, and I could talk to Nil about it too, to be fair, but I wanted to leave him alone.
Yeah.
So like Nil played as a 10.
Yep.
Luis played off the right. So I thought that was cool because having a player that has the 10 characteristics on the wing it's not a problem for me. I think a lot of coaches want just their wingers and their 10, or they see a 10 and go, well, throw them higher or lower, and I kind of like the idea that you throw them wide. I think there's a lot of ways to handle it, and I think if we're going to be as successful as we want to be, that needs to be one of the feathers in our cap, that we can play with 2 10s.
Yep.
And I think that Luis is more suited than Nil to playing wider. I think Nil is probably going to be a bit more effective himself centrally. I think Luis is going to be pretty effective in either spot because he's more of a moments player, pops up with the goal out of nowhere.
He is, and he likes to play like a forward.
Yeah.
He often will play. He'll drift into spaces like a second striker would.
Yeah.
We used him on the right last year, but it was usually with 2 up top, and I do think, God, I wish Lee was here to tell us what happened, but there were a couple times where he did play Luis up high on the right in the same kind of the 4-2-3-1. I just don't remember who played the 10 role for us. Last year, who would that have been?
I know he changed shape a few times last year. And
Would have been Azriel? I don't know who would have played a 10, though.
I don't think it was him.
No. Maybe Andre played as a 10?
Maybe.
That feels familiar, and main reason being there was all those moments where I talked about this a lot on the podcast. They had that almost like old kind of a basketball 2-man game going, Andre and Luis. I'm kind of bummed that we haven't seen a lot of that partnership from them this year. So, Luis on the right, what are your observations about the way that Luis played in that game, though?
I think that he probably might have wanted to be more involved than he was.
Yeah.
But I still think he offers so much danger and attracts so much attention. And I think with the player, kind of controlling the rhythm and the tempo the way Nil does,
Yep.
I think it gives us a really good outlet. Like, don't forget that Siobhan John Brown is an extremely dangerous player. Pierre Reedy, in my opinion, is our most dangerous player. That gives us a lot of options up high. And everyone doesn't have to play every game too. Like, keeping that in mind, we can have a rotation there. And Anwar's obviously feasting this year. So I think this is a good thing that we have another option to how to attack teams. And if we want the directness coming from wide and more running type scenarios, maybe we play someone other than Luis, or we can pop Luis out wide and get some different stuff.
Yeah, what I noticed about Luis, and I was noticing it a lot in the first half, is, and I feel like I have seen this from him all year, he has not had the goal scoring output. However, he's playing so competitively, and I'm just using that as a generic catch-all to describe work rate and just like tenacity. Coming back for recoveries, putting in tackles. He had an incredible tackle in that game at the edge of the box at a point where it was like a really important tackle too that led immediately to a break. I've just seen a lot of that from him, and I know he was frustrated when he came off of the game, but I was just like, for the 60 minutes that he played, he was really important for the team keeping its shape.
Yeah, I actually think for an attacking player in a 10 like he is, he fights for the ball in his immediate area way more than you'd expect for a player to actually
Did you notice that last year? I feel like I'm noticing that part of his game more this year. Maybe it's just like, you learn a player more because you watch him play more,
I think I noticed that last year.
Did you? Okay.
It could be ramped up this year.
Yeah.
But I believe I noticed that last year. Like, I thought that he really felt the need, like, to go win the ball. I think a lot of players in League One might go, other 10 guys are here to do that. I don't feel like he has that mentality.
I agree. As I mentioned, AV Alta were playing pretty high, giving up a lot of counters throughout the game. I think it's the only thing that they did where they were taking risks. That's how it felt to me. They were opening themselves up to counters. Lucky for us, it happened early that we were able to punish them. It was minute 14. There was a cross into the box from Siobhan John Brown out on the left. And Nil
got to it first. He struck the ball, I think with his left foot. Defender got a piece of it, which meant that the goalkeeper saved it, but not the save that he wanted to make. And he just set it there on a platter for Nil to tap in.
Thank God.
Yes.
Credit to Nil, he followed with a really tidy finish from a tough angle.
Yeah.
He made the hard part easy and the easy part hard.
Yeah. No, he did great to finish it. And one of the things that I try to have my teams understand is that you have to have an extreme determination in both boxes. And that's a good example of that. He could have just struck it and been like, oh, man. But no, you follow it up. And if you do that, you're going to get a lot of cheap little goals, or you're just going to get a lot of goals you deserve.
Did you listen to my post-game interview with the players and coach? If not, it's totally fine.
You had David, right?
David and Lucky.
Yeah.
And Lucky had some things to say about the winger that he was defending.
He didn't like him.
He did not like him.
Yeah, that was funny.
And
18.
I looked this kid up. Yep, number 18, good memory. His name is Adam Almash, and we'll call him Adam because I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing his name right. But I remember that Lucky was chirping at him a few times in between plays and doing a very Lucky thing, which I find really funny. He's always smiling. So he was up close to this player, and I could tell that they were not enamored with one another, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, Lucky put in a hard, clean tackle, about minute 43. And after the game, Lucky said that the kid was talking shit to him. And he felt like he wanted to take him under his arm as a young player and just kind of look after him and just be like, hey, you don't have to be so uptight. You don't have to talk a bunch of shit, We're out here just playing soccer. It's great. Everything's good. That's why I was smiling. So I look it up. Adam and Lucky are the same age. They're both 25 years old. But if you'd listened to Lucky after the game, it'd be like he was just like mentoring a 17-year-old kid who's just fresh out of the academy. So anyway, I'll be very curious to see what those two look like in future games. And then minute 50, the one that you talked about, started with a free kick a minute earlier, okay? Nil takes it in the half space out on the left, right? Cameron Miller gets his hat on it, just wide of the post and out for a corner. And so I got really confused on what happens with that goal because when the goal was scored, I thought at first it was the same thing that had just happened. I thought it was Nil to Cameron, but it wasn't Cameron. It was
my guy, David.
David.
Yeah, no, it was great to see that. David, like, just how excited he was to score. I know that in his interview with you, he's like, yeah, I hope I get more.
I know. He said it like a center forward.
I know.
Right? I was like, dude, it's okay. Hey, David Garcia, my man, you are doing plenty. We don't need you to score goals, but if you want to, it's great. He's just like, I think the floodgates are going to open. Now, admittedly, he did score a handful of goals for Northern Colorado and before that, North Carolina.
Okay.
So he does have a goal scoring. He's got that in his bag. I mean, he's got every tool in the bag. Like, I'll be shocked look, if we hold on to him and he doesn't go to the championship, it'll be an amazing thing for Spokane, but he's just pure class. Agreed. The distribution.
Amazing thing for our impact players too. So we had him at training, and it was defending that I was teaching. And I said, perfect, get over here, David. And if we're in this scenario and he pushes me here, there's only so many things that can happen. And then if David shoulder challenges me, and he bounced me off the ball, and then I was like, who here thinks I'm stronger than David? I got one person said and it was like Ryan Shelley. And then everyone else said like, no, of course David's stronger. So then I've been making jokes that I've been like in the gym every day to the kids. Sorry, the athletes, they're not kids. Because David knocked me off the ball and they all voted
that
for
was
him.
Hilarious. Yeah.
So that's going to be an ongoing joke.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I have brought up a couple things about him and his defensive awareness, his class. What do you see in his play on the defensive contribution, let's just say, that makes him stand out as somebody that's special?
So I love it. I don't know if your viewers will, but like, I like that he's always ball side, goal side of his striker. So any entry pass to the goal, the goal scoring player is very tough. So right from the start, I never had that understanding of like, fine, fight's going to be here and I'm stronger. I'd always have to like nip in, late. He doesn't have that. He's in a position where it's very difficult to play that ball. If the ball goes over, he's still the favorite, and it doesn't hurt that he's already stronger and possibly faster too than the player he's playing against. I think he's probably the organizer that we're noticing that's contributed to a better organization in our back line. I think he's the one that's doing the organization.
Totally agree.
I think he probably is pretty good at delivering these messages in a way that you're going to accept it, because you look at players who are never upset with him.
Nope.
Or, like pissed off that he's gotten on him.
Because he's a good person.
He's a good person, very good person, obviously.
Yep.
And I think you've touched on this. I think he and Carlos have like a fantastic relationship.
I hope some part of me manifested this reality, but when I predicted before the season started that the one thing, and I never want to beat this dead horse too much because I don't want it to make Carlos think that I'm saying he has a deficiency as a player. But if there is something that I think has been a gap that's been filled, it's been the communication. Mm-hmm. And I think that David has been that very vocal player on the back line with experience to match his class and just being a good person, right? And a good leader. So I feel like it's been pure magic.
Yeah.
And that goal side, what'd you call it?
Ball side, goal side.
Ball side, goal side. I brought up an example that when he denied a goal scoring opportunity to Leo Castro against Greenville in whatever that 4-0 game that you were referring to, and it was partly something like that. Even when he's can be out of position for just a moment, and I think Eamon brought this up, he will recover. Mm-hmm. He will see it. When he does identify that he might be out of position to get goal side, ball side, he'll make that recovery. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes it's just you don't even notice it until you slow down the plays and see, oh God, Castro, who's a poacher of a goal scorer, just a sniper, was absolutely going to score a goal if David hadn't recognized the danger and in just a split second he's there and cuts it out. Gets his foot to the ball on a cross. Yeah. On a grounded cross. Yeah.
You're right, though. You called it earlier in the season. You said maybe Carlos and David speaking Spanish with each other might help. And turns out the language probably has nothing to do with it, but you did call it.
Certainly doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt.
And may it continue. So that's the goal. Another great save from Carlos, minute 58. Speaking of Carlos, off of a corner routine. It was a tough angle from the AV Alta player, but it was one of those where Carlos just made light work of a pretty tricky ball. I don't know if you remember this moment, but he pushed it off the top of the bar.
The one from the corner and he went
Yes,
over. Yeah.
dude. I feel like I'm seeing this every game. He's just doing these moments where I'm getting to the point where I don't want to, but I'm taking them for granted, and I'm going to evoke the name of the goalkeeper we had last year who did the same thing, in Brooks. Mm-hmm. Look, we are having another year where our goalkeeper is making the saves that you expect him to make, but he makes the ones that are just like, oh my God, only a few keepers get to that.
I think he's actually, Carlos, maybe Brooks too, but specifically Carlos, is well suited to being the goalkeeper of the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Where the other team gets a chance and they're like, guys, this is our only chance. Let's hit the hell out of this ball and let's aim for that very top corner. And he's just got that like rehearsed for he makes these huge saves. And I think that's a good thing when you concede 3 shots maybe in a game.
I asked David and Lucky about it. Two guys that have been playing together, not just this year, but with Northern Colorado. What is it like to look back there knowing that your keeper's making some of those saves? Now, of course, they're defenders, so I could tell when I brought it up. David, for just a split second, bristled. He's like, well, I don't want my keeper to be facing and making some of these saves, but it's going to happen. That surge of confidence that it gives you that we're going to make it so that most of the saves he either doesn't have to make a save or they're going to be easily made. But for the ones that are tough, he's still getting to those. So
David and Lucky would have more to worry about if they were scoring tap-ins, because then 8 or 9 players made mistakes leading to that tap-in.
Very, very good point. I've never observed or had to document more tackling from Velocity players than that game. It was unbelievable. There was a A tackle. Okay, I'm going to get to the Colin tackle because I'm so glad. Dude, I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm so glad it's in the highlight package.
It is.
Because I didn't get video of it in real time, and I'm sitting next to Jesse, of course, and he immediately screams as loud as he can.
Meatwad.
Meatwad! And Cameron, minute 20. Luis, minute 24. You know, I just over and over again was observing these incredible tackles, and that's how I would define that game, is that two very disciplined, well-organized, tenacious teams is how I would characterize what happened in the game, and we just had a couple better chances, and we finished our chances that we had.
You know what was funny? I asked Jesse how he enjoyed the Colin tackle after the game, and Colin had 2 in the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yep.
And he goes, "Are you talking about the one where he won the ball and then he kind of backheeled it out?" I was like, "No, Jesse, I'm talking about the one where he obliterated that guy." That had to be a foul too, by the way. That had to be. I hit the space bar on my YouTube on computer to watch. So he gets the ball, but he gets so much of the guy.
It's 2-footed. It was an incredible tackle. It led to a counterattack. Shout out, Colin. We needed it from you. I had moments in that game where I'm like, what is Colin doing? And then I had moments like that where I was like, thank God for Colin doing that destroyer shit in midfield, which is what we need him to do. Anyway, tail of the tape. What do you think the XG was in this one?
Man, I'm 0 for 50 in these guesses.
This one, I hope you're more accurate because you watched the whole game.
I was at the whole game. I think that those shots that Carlos had to save are going to add up. So I give them I don't know, between 1 and 2 and 1.5 goals maybe. Of course, then none of them went in. Am I screwing this up again?
Yep.
I'm going to give myself, or I'm going to give the velocity. Now you've influenced me now. Now I'm going to have to go, I'm going to give the velocity 2.
2.97 for velocity.
Okay.
0.38 for AV Alta. And I'm going to tell you why you were wrong. If you look at their chances, the saves that Carlos makes are on very tough, low XG shots.
Yeah.
And they had the one that struck the post, but it was God, that would have been an incredible goal. Thank God it didn't go in. It was 25, 30 yards out, and it just ping. I hoped somehow that Carlos got a hand on it. No.
That was the one after.
But everything they did was really wasn't a high quality chance.
The one where they hit the woodwork, is that when Lucky fell down?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
You know what I liked about that play? Big Ron closed that player down aggressively, and so did Siobhan John Brown from the side.
Yeah.
So that guy, had he had an extra quarter second to shoot, he might have been able to slot it, but they both were right on it.
Here's where things stand with Velocity FC right now. Mike Pellicio, top of the table again. Back-to-back wins. We're going to do one shout-out for this episode. I'm going to do one shout-out. And I've already kind of done it, so I'm just going to
okay.
We're going to etch it in stone. Carlos Marancio is having a hell of a year. The man got married. By all accounts, it was a stupendous wedding. You've seen the photos. They look incredible. Why was I not invited, Carlos? I wish I had been there. It looked amazing. So he got married. He got his starting job back. And before this season started, Mike, look, I was among them going, any question marks I had, 1 through 11, I'm going, keeper? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Did Carlos lose confidence after losing his job last year to Brooks Thompson?
Nope.
He even had a shaky moment in the One Knox game. Okay? So did Cameron. I think there was some Keystone Cops things happening back there. But I was still not sure. And now, here we are in, mid-August, and he's been the best goalkeeper in League One, and I'll tell you why. Most clean sheets with 7. He's 4th in saves with 41. He's 2nd in the league with a 76% save percentage, and he's tied for first in the league with goals against per 90 with 0.83. And for what he's doing for the team that's at the top of the table, you'd have to say he's the best goalkeeper in the league.
No doubt about it. And everyone else's, because he got the mid-season award, right?
So look, totally. But look, dude, there are some goalkeepers, and I'm sure some of my little nerdy friends out there will be, but actually, and I'm going to say, look, across all key, statistical categories, he's top 1 or 2.
Love it.
That's my shout out. You must have one. Come on.
I have a few.
Go.
You know what? I'm going to just double up on yours, because yesterday.
Carlos, man.
It's Carlos. So yesterday I taught a grassroots course over at the Polo Fields. So it's a coaching license. It's 2 hours online and then 2 hours on the field. In the 2 hours on the field, I saw a little kid that was part of our group. They had a Velocity shirt on. And I said, "Who's your favorite Velocity player?" And he said, "I got 2." I said, "Cool." He said, "Luis and Carlos." So I want to give them 2 a shout out. because the children in our community are recognizing them. And then the next shout out would obviously be Nil and David for attending all of our sessions with the Impact, but also Tori Waldeck or Tori Zierenberg. Not sure what name she's going by with her getting married, but she's been she's new to Spokane and she was at our last one too. So she's the first Zephyr player to come out, which is wonderful to have her there and wonderful to have her on our team.
I can't wait to see that kid play.
Yeah.
I love the Nil and David shout, but also like Bryce Meredith has been going everywhere in Spokane and showing up at community events. I saw them at the MJ musical. So any of these players that go to things in Spokane and hang out with the community, they deserve all the love that we can give them.
Love it.
Let's take one more quick break. When we return, we're going to get hyped up about Zephyr FC and the start of their second year in the USL Super League.
The Spokane Soccer Show is proudly supported by Feast World Kitchen. You have heard me say dozens and dozens of times how much I love the food. The Ghanaian jollof rice and the Egyptian sambusas that I had once upon a time at the AFCON watch party. But I want to keep reminding you about all the operational support that Feast World Kitchen needs to make what they're doing possible through their programs. But for all the employees that provide the operational support for their programs, here's the deal. It's not free paying a living wage for all this incredible work. And in our society right now, a lot of that funding that flows to this sort of work is being cut off. I'm sure you all know that if you read the news, right? All these programs are being cut. So instead of just gushing about the food and telling you to eat there, this time I'm asking you to consider making a donation to keep this amazing work going. Go to feastworldkitchen.org/donate to make sure that these chef entrepreneurs have all the support they need to continue serving up delicious food here in our Spokane community. It fills me with joy to announce that Wildland Co-op is a sponsor of the Spokane Soccer Show. What is Wildland Co-op? Wildland is a small farm, it's a brewery, it's a winery, and it's a local goods market. 20 varieties of beer on tap, guaranteed to be something you're going to dig. A range of fantastic wines and tasty non-alcoholic beverages. So pull up an Adirondack chair on their cherry tree patio and take in all those yummy flavors amidst sweeping views of Green Bluff and the foothills of Mount Spokane. There is literally not a better place in the 509 to gawk at the warm, dreamlike skies during golden hour. I've almost run out of room on my phone taking photos of it. That's actually a true story. The Wildland Co-op is family friendly, everybody's welcome, and if you'll recall, last year, their head brewer, Michael, took me up on the idea of making a signature beer for the Spokane Soccer Show. Remember the Double Pivot Pub Ale? For more information, go to their website or follow them on Instagram, Wildland Co-op. That's wildland.coop.
Mike Pellicio, we're only 10 days away from Zephyr FC starting their second year in the USL Super League. The 2025-2026 campaign has, it's going to start with 3 games on the road, though. August 23rd at Dallas Trinity, August 30 at DC Power, September 3rd at Brooklyn FC. That's a midweek game, which kind of sucks because that means the first game that they play, which is September 6th at One Stadium, Saturday, 6 p.m., is going to be only 3 days after playing a midweek game. So our first home game is going to be after a midweek. I don't love that.
Yeah, that's a big travel day. So
That's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, no fun.
You and I were talking during the break. I'm going to learn about this team with all of its turnover. We're going to do it together, listeners. I didn't have the time, and I kind of learned something from last year when, first year ever of Velocity FC, first year ever of Zephyr FC. I felt like I needed to put the work in to just tell everybody about every player we've signed. But then as we go through these years, I'm just going to give these small updates about the players that we sign. And then I just want to see them play. I don't want to do a bunch of previews about people I've never seen play because it's kind of hard. And especially with the women's game, I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. It's difficult to find video, and I'm not resourced the way that people probably assume I am sometimes. Like, I don't have Y-Scout subscriptions. It's not like I'm...
What? Get Y-Scout to be your sponsor. Y-Scout, come sponsor the Spokane Soccer Show.
Hey, you know where to find me. That stuff's expensive. And so I don't have any of that stuff. And even if I did, it's like needle and haystack. What am I, how much time do I have to put into that? Anyway, yeah, we were talking about how I think Tori Waldeck, now Tori Zierenberg, might be used as potentially a 10, but you're thinking that she might be a winger? You don't know?
Yeah, after watching her play, I think she might be more of a winger. She's very quick.
Yeah.
So like fast and quick.
I think for Pepperdine, she was on the wing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean, I could see her being a handful.
Well, and I forgot, we have Thais Hayes, post ACL injury, fully recovered, and she's a player that we spotted last year. She played for Orlando Pride. Like, she can unlock opponents as the 10. We have Molly Rouse, so there's still some options in the 10 role, and we've signed these new players. So I can't wait. I mean, I'm very intrigued by some of these players. To be clear, Olo, aka Olivia Vanderyacht, Cam Tucker, Arissa Mart, speaking of Orlando Pride, Lena Solano, and of course our returning players. Our new captain, Sarah Clark, Hope Heisey, Ali Cook, Emma Jaskinik.
A lot of really important players returning, which is nice.
There's clearly some pedigree and some experience and some talent. I mean, I've gone on and on in the first, 3 podcasts I ever did following the 2023 Gonzaga team about Kelsey Euler, who plays for Zephyr FC.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what she's got. That's all I've got. Do you have anything else? Do you want to add? Plug?
I don't think so.
Am I going to... So I'll probably see you at that game. Will you be at the Zephyr FC's home opener?
I believe the 6th.
September 6th?
I know we're going out of town, but I believe we're going Saturday with Mount Spokane Girls Soccer. We have a road trip.
Okay.
So as long as I am in town, I will be at that game.
But I'm going to see you no matter what on September 13th and 14th.
Yes, I would love to have you there.
Yep, I will definitely be there. So, folks, mark your calendar for that. Spokane Impact at Hub.
At the Hub.
Okay.
Correct.
Which is out in the valley.
Yep, out in the valley,
Okay.
September 13th and 14th.
Okay.
We'll be in Colorado Springs before then, so I should know more about like what the event actually looks like. And our athletes are just so excited to travel. And then during that weekend, I can only travel with 13. So in that weekend, though, if you're on our roster, everyone will play. So like this week, or in a week and a half, I take only 13 players to Colorado. It sucks if you're not part of that 13. But when we're here, at least one game out of those 3, every single player in our program will play, which is pretty cool.
Amazing.
In front of their families, in front of their fans.
I can't wait. Well, that's what I'm doing mid-September.
Sweet.
Between now and then, I'm going to go try to, this Sunday, watch the Eastern Washington women's team. Shout out Savvy Briseño and so many other players.
Shout out Genesis Willis.
Okay, let's go.
Shout out Nat Venner. Shout out Dakota Hansen, who plays for Southern Utah.
Yep.
So I'll be at that game too, for sure.
Yep. Lots of local players play for Eastern. I'm going to try to go to that game. Then Velocity are playing against Portland Hearts of Pine this weekend. So we're hitting a rhythm. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to come on this podcast, guests TBD, and I'm going to talk about the games that have happened. And
It's really nice being your guest without Jesse here to just do all the talking.
dude, seriously.
He talks so
the other
much
thing
about
Jesse.
fish.
All right, fine. Let's end this podcast by dunking on Jesse. So I go down there. I join Jesse Rattan and Oliver Hart, Ollie Hart, and Pierre Reedy. And Jesse just wants to talk about fishing.
The whole time.
Not joking. Except to, he'll lift up his head once in a while to shout at Colin for a tackle.
You should start a show called the Spokane Fishing Show.
Dude.
It could be, you could have, your first guest could be that fish that Jesse catches all the time.
It'd be like a therapy session. Tell us about all the abuse that you've taken just to appear in these terrible photographs. We're kidding. We love you. If anything, I'd say your photographs are beautiful, even if it is the same fish every time. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and places like that. It's always free. It just takes clicking a button. So do it. And rate and review. That always helps too. And until the next time that we do this podcast, thanks for listening.
Thank you.